Hello my friends and welcome to this playthrough of hole number 1 to hole number 9 of the Pro and Expert division. This video is sponsored by Playdemic and Golf Clash, and I'm going to show you here how to play the holes in the best way possible. We're going to start off right away with hole number 1. The tournament is called New York Classic, played from the second tee, and second tee is always Pro and Expert division. I'm going to play this one with our Goliath, and and Goliath will be the long iron that I will mostly use, especially when you do have it maxed in this situation. The holes for Pro and Expert division are available to play on Tour 11. I know there is not that many people that can go up to Tour 11 to just practice, but at least it's an opportunity. So we are going to go with our setup. We do a 3.5 bar backspin and we go slight curl against the wind. That will be our setup. When it comes to the Goliath, it's 2 rings per mile per hour, and so we need to count for that. This hole, we also need to count for, like, as you could see, we're having slight tailwind. I choose to go by the left of the rough, and as we are going to have the crosswind here, we need to counter for the push that we will get to the right, and therefore we kind of adjust this one for 5 rings. I know it's a little bit heavy, but we take 5 rings to adjust it as it would be 10 mile per hour. We get the push out to the right to make the ball go up, fall back down, and we'll make an easy birdie. Of course, with an easier type of wind, we could go straight to pin and we could go with less backspin, because there's so many various ways to actually play this type of hole. This is a safe way to take the birdie. We're of course going to go for the hole-in-one in the tournament. Hole number 2, par 4 right away. As you can see there as well, it's called City Park. So the tournament itself is called New York Classic, and the holes is called City Park. So hole number 2, par 4, this is going to be a tough one. Even if we do have tailwind, it's going to be a tough one. I suggest that if you do have tailwind, then you go full blast, go as far as possible on the fairway to give yourself a rough iron shot, maybe a sandwich shot, but hopefully then a shot from the fairway for your second shot. But the thing is here to always put yourself in a situation where you can reach the green in 2. Our opponent here is aiming just before the bunkers, like the first bunkers, using a little bit more topspin than we are going to do. He's just out for putting himself up there on the fairway. And the thing to have in mind here is, if you're going to do that play, then you need to play with a wood club that do have the most distance. For an example, the Big Dog or the Cataclysm, because otherwise it will be too hard. So we are going to go with 2 bars of topspin, because we are going to play ourselves up there over the bunker to put ourselves down to the left. We know that we can get a weird bounce, and that's why we're taking just 2 bars of topspin, so we're not putting any danger in it. We're going to adjust for 7 rings, and the max side, as I said, we're going to slightly overpower and do take it in the wind. So we over adjusted just a little bit with like adjusting for 8.5 miles per hour, but that is just, we want to use the curl to counter for the bounce that we're going to get to the right. Now we got a really weird bounce, but it doesn't really matter. And it doesn't really matter if we would be bouncing into the rough and then out on the fairway, because we would still be having the distance as our opponent is having, but at least we're giving ourselves now an easier task to get to the green. And now you can see headwind from the position my opponent is in. It's going to be a tough one to get to the green in 2. So have that in mind, that give yourself the best way to play the hole. I understand that this is a game on Tour 11, so we can't switch clubs for the hole, but in the regular tournament, you know that you can switch before every hole that is played. So just in case, especially if you find out, okay, we're going to have some side wind, maybe some headwind, then definitely pull out the wood club that you do have the most distance with. Max overpower from our opponent, and also some topspin. Many people will be falling back down into the rough from that position. As you can see, it's no way on earth, you are able to stay there on the fairway. So we are going to give ourselves max side spin here for this shot. And we're going to go with a normal adjustment. And the normal adjustment means that we're going to adjust 1 ring per mile per hour. So we're going to adjust for 9 rings when we do play this shot. We have no uphill, we have no downhills, we only have to adjust according to the guide that we do have. We're putting ourselves with 2 bars of topspin. You can go with 3 as well, but the importance here is to get it to bounce onto the fairway that is just by the green, to make the bounce up to the green, giving ourselves an easy birdie. Sure, could have taken away a little bit when it comes to the side spin to the left, but at least we pull ourselves up to the green, making a birdie, and that is what counts when it comes to hole number 2. And as I said from the beginning, hole number 2 is a tough hole. Have that in mind. Don't be mad or sad if you're having a tough time on it and ending up making a birdie, even if you struggle. Many people will struggle, but if you can be consistent making a birdie, and that goes the same for playing in the regular tour play, if you are consistent and playing a birdie on this one, you will definitely win more than 50% of the games, which is the thing that you do want in the regular tour play. So we are going to go and get ready for hole number 3 here, and we're going to play that one a little bit differently because we're going to have tailwind. So a little bit of a teaser before we come into hole number 3. So let's get going here then. Come on then. We're done with hole number 2, taking the birdie, and we also taking the win here. So hole number 3, we are going to play the first shot with, of course, the Apocalypse that we do have. Have in mind that we do have an Apocalypse level 7, 240 yards. We do have an enormous amount of topspin, but the play that we're going to play now is possible to play even with a Thor's hammer, level 5, level 6, level 7, with enormous topspin. It's also possible to play that one with an Apocalypse level 5, but the importance, of course, is topspin, or at least that you do have the distance. If you do have 10.5 or 11 in wind, straight tailwind, be sure that you don't go max out power, because it will be close to the top. We'll see. For us here, we're taking topspin that we do have, rolling out to the fairway and going to have a tough shot for the green, but it's going to definitely have a great opportunity to get to the green and make an easy eagle. This hole is so weird in the way that we actually, first and foremost, we do play a little bit of downhill the first shot. The second shot is uphill, which is a great design when it comes to the course. And also, if you do have headwind, side wind, or not having the driver to be able to bounce over the bunker and the rough, then you should just put yourself onto the fairway, taking it in a conservative way, and then go to the green in 3 instead. Because, frankly, if we don't have tailwind, we can just say that this is a birdie hole for a par 5. So it's going to be very interesting to see which type of wind we're going to have, and we're definitely going to make a guide for that when it comes to the regular the wind that we get in the qualifier. You can see here our opponent having an Apocalypse of 5, having no problem to reaching over there, even though with less topspin, and that is important to show you. So second shot here, we're going to go with the Sniper. I do suggest you go with another club that do have a little bit more distance, but with tailwind, no problem. Max backspin with the Sniper, max side spin to the right. We do want to go directly onto the green. When I play uphill, I do play 1 ring as for the Sniper, 1 mile per hour, but here I take 0.85 per ring per mile per hour. So we're going to adjust this one for 14 rings instead of 16.5 rings to counter for the uphill that we're going to play with. And the thing that we do want is that we do want to pull ourselves onto the green, making ourselves an eagle by just making it to sit. We're going to see here now, going to land on the green, could have gone a little bit further ahead, giving ourselves a little bit of roll uphill there and rolling back down. But in the end, we take that. We definitely take that shot, and we'll be happy with that if we would be playing that shot in the weekend round. or in the qualifying round, or in the opening round. But at least the key here with Tailwind is, of course, to get the eagle. Will be many people or many players that are going to miss the adjustment, as they do forget that it is massively uphill. So 16.7 miles per hour, we go with 14 rings instead of going with 16.5 rings. Our opponent here is going to go with a little bit of a different approach. And different, I mean that he's going to bounce on the fairway up to the green. Instead of going directly onto the green, he's going to do that play. And I don't blame him. It's like he had a lot of distance, had to basically max overpower the shot. And that is going to be tough in that particular matter. You can see here, getting it to roll up there on the hill, getting it to fall back down, and that is an amazing shot from our opponent. So there you could see a way to play this hole in tailwind. To play this hole in headwind or sidewind, it's kind of boring, but with tailwind it gets this extra spice that is awesome to get when we do play in the tournament. We take the eagle, we will be very happy with that. I'm also happy that both me and my opponent did play the approach shot to green in 2 different ways. So I actually showed 2 ways to actually reach for the green in 2. There we go. Our opponent Mendoza is going to put this one in for an eagle, and I'm going to leave this hole satisfied with that eagle. But because frankly, if you do make an eagle on this one, you will compare to other opponents, especially don't have the clubs, etc., etc., going to have a tough one to be able to get the eagle. So okay, we go to hole number 4 now. So we running through the holes here kind of quickly. I hope you're keeping up, and you can see here now our opponent is going to play there on the first spot, and I'm going to go with that play as well. In the in the whole guide video of hole number 4, I did edit together 2 ways to play this hole by just bouncing there on front, and I think that it will be the best and most consistent way when you play from the second tee to get close, or making it to drop for a hole in one. So getting it to bounce up there will be falling in here and will be no problem whatsoever to be able to put this one in for a birdie, and a little bit more to the left it could have been a possible hole in one. So we're going with the Goliath. We're going to go with 1.5 bar of topspin, 1 side spin to the right, just counter for the side wind that we do have for wind there. So we're going to aim on the right there because we rather want it to fall back in instead of going too close there with our ball guide. We're going to go with 5 rings. So adjusting for 10 miles per hour, and so 5 rings. Goliath 2 rings per mile per hour. Have that in mind all day and every day. So we're hitting it perfect. We counter it with a little bit of side spin, curl to the right. We will take that route, we will fall back in here and making a good shot, but in the end we could have stayed away from the curl, then we would have been having a little bit of a different roll there on the green, still making to be close. So my friends, that was hole number 4. I'm going to go through to hole number 5. Hole number 5, we need to give ourselves on hole number 5 a way to shoot for the eagle. Hole number 5 and also hole number 7 that we will come to later will be the 2 par 4s that we actually do have an opportunity to give ourselves that eagle that we so desperately need, because we need something extra to drop. We need to take the par 5s as the eagle. We need to get a hole in one or an eagle on a par 4 to be able to fight there on top. We're going to adjust here. We're going to adjust for 5 rings. Plus 1.5 rings. So we're going to adjust for 6.5 rings. So we kind of over adjust this one a little bit. The reason for that is that it's played over water, which means that the ball will be affected by the wind a little bit more. And then we do not want our ball to get that extra push that the tailwind give us when it comes to the bounce onto the fairway. We did use just a slight amount of topspin to just give ourselves the ball to push up there to give ourselves a reason to play with a thorn. Our opponent here is going to go with basically the same type of play, but he's going to use a little bit more of topspin. Have in mind, we did use 2 bars of topspin, and our opponent's going to go with basically 3.5, 4 bars of topspin. And with that tailwind, and with a little bit of a tougher bounce, then it's going to be very, very tough to make this ball to stay on the fairway. And again, it's like you will not have a problem to reach for the green from the rough. As you can see, the bounce there is giving our opponent a little bit of an extra kick into the rough. And again, I will just take that. Going by the rough, it's not going to be a problem to reach for the green, but it's going to be a tougher time to make an eagle. That's for sure. So 2 bars backspin. We're going to 1.5 bar of side spin. And we're going to adjust. We should be adjusting this one 5 rings, but we are adjusting this one for 6 rings, which is a little bit too much due to the calculations. And this is an approach that I do absolutely love. And this is a shot that should be close all day and every day. Now we do over adjust it with 6 rings. We should be going with 5 rings in the end here, and we do make a shot that is great on the right side, and then naturally we go too far and we'll also go too much to the right. So have that in mind when you play this hole. When we do play with the thorn in basically between minimum and medium distance, we use 5 rings when it comes to 9 miles per hour in wind. So our opponent is not going to have a problem whatsoever to reach for the green here. But again, as I said before, it's going to be tough, or at least tougher, to reach for this green into, and also getting it to be close. So get that bounce, good shot from the rough with a perfect, could have been really, really close. But in the end, nothing special from either me or the opponent. But again, this is a hole where we do want to fight for the eagle. And I think it's crucial that you at least give yourself the opportunity that we did. But then we need to make the approach shot a little bit better. So my friends, this was hole number 5, and again, to just repeat ourselves, it's the New York Classic that we're playing. It's a playthrough for Pro and Expert Division, which now these holes are available on tour number 11 if you want to play them before the tournament starts. So there we go. Now we're going to come to a really tough par 5, hole number 6, and the drive here that we're going to play, it's played downhill, and we're going to see 2 different approaches here with the drive, where my opponent is going to put ourselves to the right here, giving himself a way down into the rough that frankly is a little bit risky, because if the ball gets stuck in the rough and the wind is too tricky for the second shot, then he will not be able to reach for the green too. But I don't blame him for going this way. That I need to make really, really clear, because if you are a little bit lucky with the bounce, you are spot on with your adjustment, like spot on, then you should be able to pull yourself onto the fairway there, and then you should be having a long iron or a wood club in minimum distance to the pin. And of course, then that is a little bit easier to at least secure the eagle, but maybe go for the albatross. We're going to go with a little bit more conservative way. We're going to go with 6 bars of topspin. We're going to go with 2 bars of side spin to the right, and we play here on the platform. And we need to have in mind, again, I said that from the beginning, it's played downhill, and we are going to, in this particular matter, we go with 6 rings here when it comes to our adjustments, a little bit over the top, but again, we could have gone with a little bit more with our adjustment, and going with 1 ring more as to counter for the downhill part, and not maybe risking to go that close to the rough, but especially not risk missing the platform there on top. So I would consider going with one ring more on that particular shot than the regular guide. So our opponent here is going to go with the Nirvana, and the Nirvana will of course be the normal rough iron that you do play with, and it's going to be necessary to overpower this one a little bit to get this one close to the green. And this is a tough one because missing this one a good deal right on the great side or on the left side, then it's going to be very, very tough to get this one to drop for an eagle. Now it's a perfect rough iron shot and close to the green. Now it could only be a very, very tough crosswind that could be a problem for our opponent in this particular situation. We are going to play with a sniper, and we are going to adjust this according to the regular guide, which means that we're going to go with 1 ring per mile per hour. We do have 8 in wind. We need to overpower this shot. As you can see, we're going with a couple of bars side spin to the left, and then we also go with 1 bar of backspin. As you can see, we will have to overpower it, which means that we will have to have in mind that we also need to counter and think about that when we do make our shots. So we go with 9 rings instead of 8 rings, giving us that a little bit extra to counter for that we have to overpower, that we may be shooting a ball great, and giving ourselves the room to miss our shots a little and still manage to make the green in 2 and making an eagle. Tough way to get the albatross, of course, in this hole, but again, be happy with an eagle, and albatross is just a big bonus. So just the last part with the second shot as well. If you are not having tailwind or maybe sidewind with your second shot, then I would consider to go with a club with a little bit more distance. And I'm talking just in general tournament play here. So you try to find out the different winds for the different holes, and then adjust the club selection from that. So tailwind on this one, then we will be tailwind for the second shot as well, and then it's a sniper for the pin because it helps you a lot with the adjustment. Could go with a guardian as well, of course. So my friends, this was hole number 6. We're going to put it in here. We're going to take the eagle and be satisfied with that, to not finding ourselves in any particular struggle. And that's why I go with a conservative way for the drive, especially if I'm not having a decent amount of tailwind, so I can just go all in with a berserker. So there we go, and we are going to leave directly for hole number 7. And as I talked about hole number 5 before, hole number 7 will be one of the holes that is a key hole in my opinion, especially if we do find ourselves with some tailwind for our drive. Now we are not finding ourselves with some tailwind, and then we need to of course play this one in a little bit different way. Our opponent's going to go first here, and I don't believe that you should be needed to use that much topspin that our opponent is having. It's not necessary because we don't want to risk going into the rough or into the bunker. Then it's better to control your shot with less backspin, with less topspin in my opinion. Hits that one, great, going with curl. I like that he goes with curl. But as you can see, getting too much topspin, getting that little push there on the fairway, rolling onto the rough, which is going to give our opponent a tricky way, especially if we're having headwind for our second shot. We are going to go with a little bit of a different approach when it comes to our opponent. We're going to go with 4 bars, 3.5 bar to the side, 2 bars on top. And we're going to line up just by cutting the bunker there, because we need to have in mind that we need to counter a little bit for the crosswind that we do have. Have to over adjust it slightly downhill, so we need to have that in mind when we are adjusting for it. 9 rings is the thing that we are going for, which is important to have in mind as we're going to curl it in the wind as well. So 9 rings is going to be basically the same as the regular guide says for us, as the Apocalypse is 1.3 per ring. So, second shot, tailwind for our opponent, which is a little bit lucky, of course. Then the rough iron shot didn't destroy for him. Should not be a problem to bounce it over the bunker with some crosswind or with some headwind. either, but still he misses out a good opportunity when it comes to getting an option to go for the pin. And that is the thing again, my friends. It's like we need to go and find ourselves a way to get to go to the pin, because we do not get that many chances in this tournament. That I'm very certain of it. So with the 2 par 4s that is considered the easier par 4s, then we at least need to give ourselves a shot from distance in that way. So we're going to go with 4 bars, 3.5 bar to the right. We're going to go with 3.5 bar of backspin. We're going to adjust according to the guide, 1 ring per mile per hour. In the end, we should be adjusting this one just a little bit less, so we should be going with approximately 10.5 rings instead, due to this hole is kind of played a little bit strange in the way that it's the ball is not affected as it's supposed to be doing. So we need to have that in mind to slightly under adjust this shot as played as it was a little bit downhill for our second shot at least. We still got it to green though, and that was no problem for us, but at least we want to find that sweet spot, so we actually are going for the pin. We're a little bit too much to the left, but we will still be making a birdie. So hole number 7, put yourself in a situation where you really can go for the pin for your second shot, and hopefully and at least mentally drop that eagle to boost yourself for the upcoming 2 holes that is going to be tricky. So we take the birdie and let's go for hole number 8. Hole number 8 is a par 3, and this one is frankly it's a funny one actually. We're going to play with our sniper. It's in minimum distance of the club, but we're going to adjust as we were in max distance. And that may sound weird, but this play is played downhill. We do want to use max backspin when it comes to our sniper. We could go with a guardian, which could be a little bit easier for us. We do adjust for 10 rings. We should be adjusting for 2 rings more, and that is something that we're going to apply when it comes to playing this hole in the tournament. So we do want to have a little bit more distance while coming up there onto the green, so we are not risking, if we're hitting the ball great, to be able to fall back into the rough again. So we adjust it as we are playing in maximum distance with our sniper, and that would be with 9 mile per hour wind. We would be adjusting that for 9 rings. Then we add at least 2 rings, somewhere in between 1 to 3 rings, depending on how hard the headwind is with that particular shot. The same goes for tailwind though, but then we will be playing with our long iron, and then it's a little bit of different with the adjustment there, as it works a little bit differently than the sniper or like the wood club. Our opponent's going to go the same shot here, max backspin combined with a little bit more side spin to the right. And if you play this hole in the regular tour play, this is going to bite you in the butt a little bit. The reason for that is that it's going to be pushed up to the right, and it's going to be falling back down to the left with a higher speed that you may want it to. As you can see here, getting up there gets a roll that our opponent didn't see in the beginning, but it does as we get more speed rolling back there. So have that in mind when you play the hole, so you're not finding yourself in a way that you lose on this hole in the regular tour play. But in the end, in the tournament, that would have been an easy putt for our opponent to make that birdie. Hole number 9, we end up the tournament with a par 5. We have been doing that for a very long time now to have a par 5, and here the drive is crucial. If you're in the rough or in the bunker, you can say goodbye to reaching for the green in 2. So we are going to see here how our opponent is playing. He's going to play with a kingmaker, and is going to play on the right side here. Going to go with max side spin, which is correct in my opinion. Going to go with around half a bar of top spin, not even a little bit less for that, and I believe that is too little top spin, because if he is not cutting the rough perfectly, then he's going to not have the top spin to reach over the rough and cut the rough by the second bounce, and give himself a tough way to reach for the green in 2. As I said, going into the rough here, going a little bit too short. Now the only thing that can save him is tailwind for the second shot. So we are going to go with 2.5 bar of top spin instead, using the Kingmaker here. 2.5 bar of top spin combined with max side spin to the right. And the thing that we want is, of course, to go as far as possible on the right side there on the fairway. And we're going to play it with 9 rings to give a little bit room when it comes to the curl. 9 rings, 9 times 1.3, it's 9 plus 2.1, it's approximately 11, it's 11.2. So it's a little bit more. It's basically going as the same adjustment as according to the guide, played the club with max distance, but we want to go just slightly extra, because we're going with curl and we don't want to risk, if we miss the shot hitting it great on the right side, that we go into the rough. So we add that little bit of extra, that just that tiny little bit of extra. We put ourselves easy there on the fairway, and we will have no problem to reach for the green in 2, especially with tailwind. This shot is played uphill, my friends. It's played uphill. And now we have to go down again and reduce our adjustment when it comes to trying to hit that fairway spot, bouncing it onto the green. And our opponent here, of course, is saved a little bit when it comes to play this one with a little bit of tailwind. With the overpower, shouldn't be a problem for our opponent, at least get the distance to it. Hitting the fairway platform there is hard, of course, but at least it's going to be a very good opportunity to at least do so. Hits it perfect, looks really good, going to come in here with a bounce. Sure, it's not going to be close, but it doesn't really matter. It's still going to be an easy eagle, and by going short there, by hitting the rough, I'm really in belief that our opponent is going to have no problem to take that eagle in that safe way. So we are going to go here. We're going to go with 4 bars of backspin. We add a little bit more, which is 4.5, combined with 1 side spin to the right. And we're going to go here when it comes to 10.3. We should be adjusting this one as it would be around 8.5 miles per hour in wind, but we do adjust for the full distance. And that is a little bit too much as it's played uphill, so this adjustment is a little bit wrong. That's why I'm explaining it as well. We still hit it great on the left side, which will pull us a little bit out to the left, but as you can see, we're still too much to the right, and we still lose too much distance to be able to be satisfied with that type of shot. So my friends, we're going to put this one in for an eagle. A lot of talks, a lot of descriptions on how I would be playing these holes, and I may, like as you can see on the screen, play it a little bit differently in some shots, but then with the talk here, I want to explain my thoughts. I want also to explain when I'm a little bit off and when I'm spot on, etc. So my friends, thanks a lot for watching this playthrough video of Pro and Expert Division. This video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, and if you do have any questions, please pick up in the comment section below and I will be happy to answer you there. Otherwise, here in the end, I want to wish you the best of luck in the New York Classic tournament.